My wife went to teach in a remote mountain region. I personally saw her off at the platform. While doing the laundry, I accidentally discovered the train ticket to a remote mountain region tucked away in my wife's coat pocket. Only then did I realize that Victoria, my wife, had secretly signed up for a 15-year teaching commitment there, behind my back. And Ethan Hayes, her idealized past love, was also teaching there. With half a month left before her departure, Victoria had an abortion, terminating our child. She contacted her best friend, other friends, family, and former colleagues, holding countless farewell dinners. Yet she never told me she was leaving. 3 days before her departure, I quietly bought a train ticket departing from the same platform as hers, but heading in the exact opposite direction. On the day she left, I boarded my train under Victoria's shocked gaze. I also handed her the divorce papers, along with the evidence of Ethan Hayes' crimes against students. Chapter 1. When Victoria Bellwether came out of the hospital, I knew. Our child was gone. Acting as if I knew nothing, I watched her take the medication meant to induce bleeding right in front of me. I casually asked, "What's wrong?" She looked slightly stunned, then replied nonchalantly, "Just a bit of a cold." I didn't call her out. I simply reminded her, "You're pregnant. You shouldn't be taking just any medicine." Seeing my calm tone and neutral expression, Victoria sensed something was amiss. Previously, whenever she felt unwell, I would immediately get anxious, rush her to the hospital, and apologize profusely for not taking better care of her. But now my reaction was far too composed. She came closer, hugged me, rested her head against my chest, and asked in a soft, tender voice, sincere, "Why aren't you happy?" I pushed her away gently. "It's nothing. I'm going to take a shower." She must have thought she'd hidden everything perfectly, as she didn't press further with any suspicion. Instead, she retrieved several containers of leftovers from the refrigerator. "Sincere, I brought you your favorite crab and steamed pork with rice flour. I'll heat them up for you. They'll be ready when you get out of the shower." Watching her diligently place the food in the microwave, wearing an expression that pleaded for praise, I could only manage a wry, bitter smile. Did she really think I was oblivious? Buying the train ticket behind my back, planning a 15-year teaching stint, aborting our child, inviting her closest friends, family, and former colleagues for numerous farewell parties. This food was likely leftovers from one of those gatherings. And she did all this for another man. After my shower, I glanced at the microwave. Its power cord wasn't even plugged in. I told Victoria I had to work late tonight and that she should go to bed first. Then I went into the spare bedroom and spent a sleepless night. The next morning, Victoria pounded on the door insistently. She demanded to know why I hadn't eaten the food from last night. "Sincere Clark, is this how you trample on my thoughtfulness?" After a sleepless night, my nerves were already frayed. Her sharp questioning grated on my already aching head. Naturally, my patience had worn thin. I told her, "You didn't even plug in the microwave last night. What was I supposed to eat?" At my words, Victoria pursed her lips, looking slightly embarrassed. She turned and walked towards the kitchen. "I made breakfast. Come and eat." It was always like this. Whenever she did something wrong, she'd become exceptionally nice to me, putting on a pleasant facade for a couple of days. After washing up, I sat down at the dining table. In front of Victoria were cute rabbit-shaped rice balls and rolled omelets. These were things she often made for me back when we first started dating. I never thought that, in an attempt to compensate for her impending departure, she would bring these dishes back out. I spoke up, "Pack up the rolled omelets. I'll take them to school to eat." Hearing this, Victoria's expression changed. She quickly hid the omelets behind her back. "What are you getting ideas about? These aren't for you." With that, she took the leftovers from the previous night out of the microwave and plopped them down in front of me. "You eat this." I froze, staring at the sticky, slightly sour-smelling food before me. I looked up at Victoria, my eyes filled with disbelief. "Why are you looking at me like that? I went out of my way to buy this for you. Are you planning on throwing it away? You have to finish it. Don't waste my effort." Finished speaking, she packed the rice balls and rolled omelets. Before leaving, she added, "I'll be finishing class late today, so don't wait up for me. I'll bring back food you like." The door slammed shut heavily. I looked around the empty house and casually dumped the food into the trash bin. I took out my phone and booked a train ticket, leaving on the same day as hers. Since she wanted to leave, I would grant her wish. Chapter 2. Victoria pursued me first. It was when I had just started teaching at the school. I was immediately assigned to teach the seniors' intensive college prep class, displacing their previous homeroom teacher. The students were unhappy with me, and other teachers viewed me with suspicion. Rumors spread that I was related to the school administration, brought in specifically to boost college admission rates for personal gain. I was isolated, unaccepted, and spent my days alone. That's when Victoria Bellwether appeared in my life. She ignored the rumors swirling around me and disregarded the strange looks from other teachers, choosing to walk alongside me. She told me she knew the previous teacher had been replaced due to character issues, and it had nothing to do with me. She assured me that with her around, I wouldn't be lonely. Over time, we grew closer, understood each other, and fell in love. I prepared lesson plans for her daily and brought her snacks. She would intentionally walk past my classroom during lessons, just to catch a glimpse of me. We carried on our relationship with a tacit understanding, eventually leading to marriage. At our wedding, I promised to love her, protect her, and never leave her side for my entire life. 8 years flashed by. I hadn't broken my promise, but she was the one who wanted to leave first. I looked at the successful booking confirmation on my phone. It was for a train heading in the exact opposite direction of hers. If this was how it was going to be, then let us be two lines that never intersect again. Let us never meet again in this lifetime. Chapter 3. That evening, Victoria sent me a message. She said she went out singing with friends. I didn't need to guess. It was likely another pre-arranged farewell gathering. I simply replied okay, without expressing concern, asking questions, or offering to pick her up. Lately, she had been going out every few days, returning home around 11 or midnight. If I urged her to come home, she would get angry. "Can't you give me some personal space? I told you I'm hanging out with friends. Why do you keep calling? It's annoying. If you're so bored, go do the laundry, mop the floor. There's plenty to do around the house. Are you waiting for me to do it?" When we were in love, she would cling to me, her small body snuggled in my arms, saying sweetly, "I just love sticking to you. Being with friends isn't as happy as being with you. I don't care. I want to stick to you forever. Don't you dare get annoyed with me." Now that the love was gone, even a simple word of care from me felt like a shackle restricting her freedom in her eyes. So why should I seek out unhappiness? However, I looked at the time. It was already 2:30 a.m. Ultimately, I still worried about her. I called her to ask when she was coming back. The call connected. The background was noisy, with voices and loud music drowning out conversation. I couldn't hear clearly and asked again where she was. There was a loud bang on the other end. I heard Victoria's best friend ask her, "Vicky, you really are a pure love warrior, aren't you? How many years has it been since you and Ethan Hayes broke up? He says one word, and you drop everything here to join him teaching in that remote place for 15 years. But keeping this from your husband, aren't you afraid he'll divorce you?" Victoria sounded like she had been drinking. Her words were somewhat incoherent, but I understood her meaning clearly. Divorce? If I dared to make this decision, I never planned on continuing with him. If it wasn't because he can't seem to live without me, why would I need to put on this act before leaving? A few girls laughed along. True, after all, back then you were the light of his life. I bet he won't even be angry. He might even beg you not to divorce him. Yeah, given how devoted he is to me, if he knew I was going away to teach for 15 years, he'd probably offer to wait for me for 15 years. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. The light of his life? Did she think she was some kind of superhero? Back then, I was indeed grateful she appeared in my life. But just because of a calculated act of kindness years ago, she expected me to abandon my dignity, give up my self-respect, to willingly become a dog at her side? That I couldn't do. Chapter 4. I stumbled upon Ethan Hayes' photo unintentionally. She had hidden it for so many years. Perhaps anticipating the reunion with her white moonlight, she planned to use the photo to pour out her years of deep affection. In the picture, I saw a young man in a white shirt, hands in his pockets, head tilted back, revealing a mole beneath his neck. Its position was identical to the mole on my own neck. Only then did I understand why she always stared blankly at me, why she always liked to kiss that mole during intimate moments, why she liked me to wear white shirts. So many whys were answered in that instant. She was looking at someone else through me. So, when she turned her back on everyone to approach me back then, was it out of genuine sympathy or something else entirely? I couldn't know for sure. But I had been with her for 8 years. In those 8 years, I fulfilled all the duties of a husband. I considered my debt to her repaid. I hung up the phone, since she was determined to leave me. I no longer wanted to willingly debase myself. That night, Victoria did not come home. The next day, the living room was filled with chatter. I faintly heard the voices of Victoria's parents, Arthur and Eleanor Bellwether, and her younger sister Chloe. "Vicky, dear, I hear the conditions in the countryside are very basic. Mom worries about you. Here, take all these things with you. If you need anything, remember to tell Mom, okay? Oh, Mom, Sis is going to teach. It's a good thing." "Why are you crying?" Chloe interjected. Arthur Bellwether also spoke up. "Vicky, are you really not planning to tell Sincere about this teaching commitment? What if he doesn't agree?" Victoria fell silent. After a long pause, she finally answered, "I'll leave without saying goodbye. As for what happens next, he can decide for himself." Hearing this, the others sighed collectively. Ultimately, they chose to respect Victoria's decision. "Although we feel sorry for Sincere, you are our daughter. We support your decision. As long as you feel happy, that's what matters," Arthur said. Her sister Chloe added, "Sis, whatever you decide, we support you, because we're family." Family? So, after being married to Victoria for 8 years, I still wasn't considered worthy of being part of their family? In the past, their vague sense of distance towards me always made me think I wasn't doing enough. But in reality, they were intentionally keeping me at arm's length, afraid I would take Ethan Hayes' place. They all knew Victoria loved Ethan, and I was just the choice forced upon her when she had no other option. At this moment, I finally understood. Leaving me wasn't an impulsive decision by Victoria. It was the result of careful consideration. Chapter 5. I opened the door. All voices abruptly ceased. They stared at me in surprise as I emerged from the spare bedroom. Victoria's pupils contracted sharply. After a long moment, her voice trembled as she asked, "You didn't go to work?" I replied calmly, "The schedule changed. I don't have classes today." I had told her about the schedule change already, but lost in the excitement of seeing Ethan Hayes soon, she had completely forgotten. "So, when did you wake up? Did you hear what we were saying?" I walked towards the bathroom, a faint smile playing on my lips. "What were you saying?" Seeing my untroubled expression, Victoria relaxed. "Nothing, Mom and Dad just came by to see me. They'll be leaving soon. Aren't they staying for lunch?" They waved their hands dismissively. No, we just dropped off the things and we'll be going. We don't want to disturb you two." They left in a hurry. Victoria ordered me around. "Since you're not working, help me sort through these things. My head hurts. I'm going to lie down for a bit." With that, she went into the bedroom, leaving me staring at the chaotic mess on the floor. Cold-proof gloves, fleece-lined clothes, bed linens, toothbrush, towels, a first aid kit. I let out a scoff and walked out. There were 3 days left until departure. Today, the school administration approved my transfer request. I needed to go back to school to handle some paperwork. In the office, David Miller, a male colleague I was friendly with, expressed his regret. "You're transferring so far away. Does Teacher Bellwether know?" "She'll find out on the very day I leave." Chapter 6. When I got home after packing my things from school, Victoria was still asleep. The items on the floor remained untouched. Her phone, left on the coffee table, kept ringing incessantly. I picked it up, subconsciously trying to unlock it with my fingerprint. It failed. The passcode was also incorrect. I gave a bitter smile. Right, she was preparing to leave me. Changing the passcode and deleting my fingerprint was understandable. Perhaps seeing that Victoria hadn't replied, the caller tried again. I answered. A deep voice spoke. "Vicky, I'll pick you up the day after tomorrow. You can stay with me then. I'll be able to protect you better." "Oh, right, Vicky. Can you bring a few special outfits? You know, I've been here almost 10 years. The women in the countryside don't know how to dress. They're plain and unattractive. Just looking at them makes me lose my appetite. I sent you pictures of the clothes. Make sure you remember to bring them." Noticing the silence on my end, Ethan Hayes finally asked, "Vicky, why aren't you saying anything? Is that man near you?" A slow smile spread across my face. She's asleep. Now, it was his turn to be silent. He made me uncomfortable. I needed to give him a little shock too, and the effect was just as I expected. He hung up. By the time I had finished packing my luggage and placed it in the spare room, Victoria woke up. Seeing the mess covering the floor, anger flared within her. "Sincere Clark, I asked you to tidy up the living room. Why didn't you? And you said marrying you meant I would enjoy life. Now I just ask you to help me tidy up a bit, and you're unwilling?" I looked at her. From the moment she decided to leave, she had changed. She became impatient, quick-tempered. My mere presence seemed to anger her. I didn't argue with her about it. I simply told her, "Well, your phone kept ringing." Her eyes widened suddenly. She scrambled in her slippers to grab the phone. Seeing the unread messages, she looked up at me, suspicious and guilty. "Oh, didn't read the messages, did you?" Had changed the passcode. I couldn't read them even if I wanted to. Hearing me mention this, Victoria tried to explain. I just... She stammered for a while but couldn't come up with a reason. I didn't want to listen to her nonsense anymore. I stared intently at her face, observing the series of expressions born from her guilt. I spoke. "Victoria, actually, if you want to leave, I won't stop you. You really don't need to—" Before I could finish, Victoria interrupted. "What nonsense are you talking about? How could I leave? Where would I go if I left? Don't listen to rumors all day." My heart felt heavy and suffocated like waterlogged cotton. This was Victoria. Doubt her, refute her, correct her. Her immediate reaction was always denial, followed by shifting the blame back onto me. The atmosphere grew thick with tension. I broke the awkward silence. "Victoria, you're leaving, aren't you?" Victoria frowned. "What do you mean I'm leaving? Where would I go?" "Sincere Clark, when did you become so petty? This whole thing is your fault, and you still—" Once time, I cut her off. "I heard what you and your parents said the other day." Victoria's heart skipped a beat. A sudden wave of panic washed over her. "Sincere, what are you talking about?" I repeated, "Son, I heard the conversation between you and your parents that day." Chapter 7. Victoria panicked. She grabbed my hand. "Insincere, I was just talking casually that day. Don't believe it. I won't leave." I shook her hand off. "You won't leave? Aren't you going to that remote teaching post?" Hearing this, Victoria reacted as if her tail had been stepped on, quickly defending herself. "And the school ordered me to go teach there. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd be upset, and I'm only going for 10 days or half a month. I'll be back soon, really." My heart scoffed endlessly. Even at this point, she was still lying to me. "Sincere Clark, don't forget, you said you would love me forever. And just going to teach for a short period. You're not willing to wait for me? Don't forget, when you were isolated by everyone, I was the only one who stood by your side. Throughout our marriage, whenever we argued, she would use the same excuse to silence me. But as I said, 8 years had passed. I no longer owed her anything." "I understand. Go ahead. I won't stop you." I couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore. Even now, Victoria ridiculously assumed I would wait for her. She was still ridiculously deceiving me. trying to keep me as a fallback option, a backup plan. Even for 15 years, she confidently believed I would stay put, remaining faithful to her. But she was wrong. This time, I wouldn't wait for her anymore. On the last day before leaving, I had the mole on my neck removed. It left a small, dark scab that would fall off in a few days. Things were out in the open with Victoria. On my final day before departure, I slept in a hotel. During that time, Victoria sent me a message. "Sincere, I'll only be gone a short while. Wait for me." I called another person. "Ethan Hayes molested students. Is this information reliable?" I asked. The person on the other end, Leo Foster, replied, "He was transferred here because of that exact issue. If he didn't have connections higher up, it would have blown up long ago." "Okay, thank you. I'll treat you to dinner sometime." After hanging up, I looked again at Victoria's message. I replied, "Hope you don't regret it." Chapter 8. The next day, Victoria and I met on the train platform. She was on the phone, but when she turned and saw me, she hung up and walked over, her tone seemingly laced with pleasant surprise. "Sincere, are you here to see me off? I knew you were just saying things in anger. How could you possibly divorce me?" I told her, "I'm not here to see you off." Victoria grabbed my arm, refusing to believe me. "If you're not here to see me off, then why are you here?" The crowd surged, revealing the luggage at my feet. Victoria looked at the 2 suitcases behind me. She frowned. "What do you mean by this? Are you planning to come teach with me?" I answered vaguely, something like that. Except her teaching assignment was as a teacher in the mountains, while my transfer was to become a deputy principal in a rural village. If Victoria initially felt any guilt towards me, that vanished the moment she assumed I intended to follow her. Disregarding the public setting, she erupted at me. "Sincere Clark, are you bloody sick I'm going off to teach, and you have to follow me? We've been married for 8 years, don't you trust me at all? Can't you give me some freedom, show me some trust? I know hiding this teaching plan from you was wrong, but I only did it because I was afraid you wouldn't agree. Why do you have to make things so difficult?" She accused me with reddened eyes, as if I truly were some perverted control freak, as if I were trying to stop her from doing this noble deed for the country and its people. People around us started murmuring. My train was about to arrive. Since I was leaving anyway, I didn't want to leave room for gossip. In front of everyone, I pulled Ethan Hayes' photo from her pocket. "Isn't he the reason you're running off to teach?" Then I produced proof of her abortion. "Victoria, I haven't said anything, but don't take me for a fool. Our destinations are diametrically opposed. Once I arrive, I will mail you the divorce papers." "Oh, and Ethan Hayes' secrets? I'll send those along too." "You're welcome." With that, I picked up my suitcases and, under her stunned gaze as she was still processing my words, boarded the train heading in the complete opposite direction from hers. Chapter 9. As the train slowly pulled away, I saw Victoria board her train as well. The time was right. I compiled the documents my friend had sent me the previous night and forwarded a copy to Victoria. She immediately messaged back, asking what it was. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the documents to the Education Bureau. 30 minutes later, Victoria called. I answered, greeted by her hysterical questioning. "Sincere Clark, are you trying to be funny? Just because I'm going to teach, you frame Ethan like this? I've known him for so many years, he could never be that kind of person. I really misjudged you. I can't believe you'd fabricate such lies just to keep me by your side. I won't believe you." She abruptly hung up. Having been with her for 8 years, I knew she was already beginning to doubt. If she truly believed Ethan was innocent, she wouldn't have made that call. However, this would also be our last call. I blocked all her contact methods, closing my eyes for a brief rest. My memory drifted far back, to the time I was preparing to propose to Victoria. To make it a surprise, I intentionally didn't answer her calls that day, afraid I'd let something slip. Unable to reach me all day, Victoria frantically contacted all our mutual friends. Because I had asked our friends to play along, they all claimed they hadn't seen me. Victoria panicked, thinking something terrible had happened to me. She ran to the police station to report me missing. Later, when she learned it was all a misunderstanding for the proposal, Victoria sobbed uncontrollably in my arms. "I thought something happened to you. Why didn't you answer my calls?" She pounded my chest with her fists, her distress melting my heart. Cupping her face, I promised her from now on I will never miss a single call from you. I will make sure you can always contact me, always find me. I will never make you sad again. Please stop crying, okay? But 8 years passed. The promise remained. Yet, love had warped over time. Her calls became fewer, her replies brief and to the point. She could always reach me, but I could no longer find the Victoria I once knew. Chapter 10. After getting off the train, the local officials greeted me warmly. They took me to my accommodation. Although it was the countryside, recent rural economic development meant paved roads and reasonably comfortable lives for the families here. The main issue was that most teachers preferred to work in big cities. Those occasionally transferred here would often leave as soon as their term ended, leading to a dwindling number of elementary school teachers in the village. Often one teacher had to handle multiple subjects. My colleague teaching the same class was a female teacher named Megan Davis. She was a recent university graduate. When I asked why she chose to come here, she told me, "This is my hometown. The community sent me out to get an education, so naturally I must come back to help send the next generation out." She then asked me why I chose to come, and when I planned to leave. For a moment I didn't know how to answer. She sensed my discomfort and didn't press further. After spending a few days here, I was touched by the children's simplicity and the villagers' warmth. I genuinely felt an urge to stay, especially with the children bringing me little trinkets every day, and the villagers greeting me warmly, inviting me to their homes for meals. They showed no reservation towards me, treating me like family from the moment I arrived. I just didn't expect Victoria to contact me. Over the past couple of days, she must have personally experienced Ethan Hayes' reputation at the school where he taught. She must have realized the information I sent her wasn't fabricated. She sent me a long text message from an unknown number. The content was mostly apologies for misjudging me, along with an explanation for why she had hidden her true reasons for insisting on the teaching post. Apparently, she initially believed Ethan had been suddenly assigned there because he had offended school leaders, becoming isolated and excluded. That's why, seeing me similarly isolated back then, she felt a sense of compassion. She said that failing to stand by Ethan back then left her with regret, and my appearance helped fill that void. Now, she finally knew the truth. Ethan was sent away because he harassed a female teacher. He should have been fired, but due to his connections, Director Thompson, he was merely transferred to a remote area. Unexpectedly, Ethan hadn't changed his ways. He acted like a local tyrant there. Furthermore, Ethan was married. I knew all of this already. From the moment I found Victoria's train ticket, I had been secretly investigating Ethan Hayes. Chapter 11. My former college roommate, Leo Foster, was born in that region. I asked him to help me investigate Ethan Hayes. His response, "Ethan doesn't need investigating. Everyone here knows him. He harasses female students and teachers all the time. Many parents are too scared to send their kids to the school, and female teachers don't dare come here anymore. Plus, within his first month here, he got the female teacher who came with him pregnant. The kid's almost 10 now. So, what exactly is love? Victoria and I were married for 8 years, yet just one word from Ethan, and she was willing to abandon me for the mountains. Ethan and Victoria were first loves, but one married me, and the other had a child with another woman. Love? Perhaps it was love, but they didn't want to love just one person. I turned off my phone. Just then, Megan Davis came over, saying the pomelos at her house were ripe and asking me to go back with her to pick some for my place. I agreed. On the way back, I unexpectedly ran into Victoria. I wasn't surprised she found me. We had been together too long, shared accounts, mutual friends. A simple search or question would reveal my location, but just a week apart, she looked considerably haggard, her eyes bloodshot. Seeing me, her eyes instantly reddened. She approached, intending to grab me, but retracted her hand upon seeing my cold expression. Sincere, I was wrong. Please forgive me, okay? I can explain everything. I was deceived too. Even now she still tried to use being deceived as an excuse. But it takes two to tango. If Ethan hadn't been married, if he didn't have a child, if she hadn't discovered she was deceived, would she have come looking for me? I voiced this question. Victoria's eyes darted away. She knew the answer. Yet she still tried to deceive me. Sincere, I really do love you. Love? What right did she have left to talk about love? Victoria, from the moment you aborted our child, your love for me was already gone. Stop deceiving yourself. Ultimately, you and Ethan Hayes are the same kind of people. You can't let go of the other person, but you don't want to compromise your own comfort either. Victoria frantically tried to explain, grabbing my arm. No, it's not like that. I never really thought about divorcing you. No, you just never thought I would actually agree to divorce you. You were certain I wouldn't leave you. Victoria, we are over. If you didn't come here this time to discuss the divorce, then please leave. After 2 years of separation, I can file for divorce myself. Megan, standing beside me, had gathered the gist of the situation and understood why I was here. She turned to Victoria and said bluntly, "You want your cake and eat it too. That's the kind of woman you are, a two-timer. If this were the old days, you'd be punished severely for this." Her words were rough but true. I couldn't help but smile slightly. Victoria looked at the young woman in her early 20s behind me, released her grip on me, and rushed towards Megan. "Who are you? Why are you with my husband?" Megan wasn't intimidated. "I'm Mr. Clark's colleague," she stated calmly. "Colleague?" Victoria's suspicious gaze flickered between us, finally landing on the pomelos we both held. "Sincere Clark. All right, I knew it. You suddenly ran off this far. It was for her, wasn't it? You want to divorce me because of her, don't you?" I felt irritated. Her baseless accusations and unreasonable tantrum, especially with local villagers around, risked starting harmful gossip. I stepped in front of Megan, warning Victoria, "Do you think everyone is like you? I came here simply because I never wanted to see you again. It has nothing to do with anyone else." Chapter 12. I had never yelled at Victoria like that before. She froze for a moment, her eyes welling up, tears beginning to fall. "Sincere, I was wrong about this. However many years you stay here, I'll wait for you, okay? Let's not get divorced. I'm willing to wait, no matter how many years." As she spoke, she tried to move closer to hug me. Suddenly, a voice from behind called out to her sharply. Ethan Hayes, furious, grabbed Victoria's hair, forcefully pulling her away from me. "Vicky, didn't you say you liked me? Why are you leaving me?" This was the first time I saw Ethan Hayes in person. He was obese, with a prominent beer belly. His eyes were cloudy and small. The mole on his neck was pressed between folds of fat, with the dark hair growing out of it. He looked worlds apart from the photo. It seemed 10 years had changed not only feelings but appearances as well. Victoria flailed, trying to escape Ethan's grasp, but her 90-pound frame was like a small sparrow against his bulk, completely ineffective. She could only turn her pleading eyes towards me. "Sincere, save me, help me." I watched the unfolding drama, detached. "Didn't you say you wouldn't regret it?" That night, after I sent that final text, she was the one who replied, "Absolutely not." Chapter 13. I didn't expect Ethan Hayes to come looking for me that evening. I watched the chair groan precariously under his weight, fearing it would collapse. I was curious. Leo Foster had told me his hometown was designated a poverty-stricken area. How did Ethan manage to stay there for 10 years and still end up so burly? Curiosity aside, I asked him what he wanted. Ethan crossed his legs arrogantly and got straight to the point. "You reported me, didn't you? I didn't deny it. Honestly, I've wanted out of that place for ages. There's nothing there, just a bunch of uncivilized people. You look at them twice and they accuse you of harassment. So unsophisticated. Not like city girls, slim waists, fair legs. Much easier on the eyes." I frowned, unsure what he meant by saying this. Did he not understand the seriousness of reporting sexual harassment and forcing female teachers into relations with him? Or did he think being reported meant he could return to the city? Clearly he thought it was the latter. It seemed a few years in the mountains had addled his brain. He'd forgotten even basic laws. Seeing my silence, he rubbed his belly, a strange smile on his face. But you cost me my job. I have to get some revenge, right? Tonight your wife is mine. He left as abruptly and bizarrely as he had arrived. That night I heard Victoria's miserable screams and the sickening sounds of Ethan's abuse. Undisturbed, I put on earplugs and went to sleep. The next morning, Ethan swaggered past my door triumphantly, leaving Victoria on the bed, her face a mask of utter dejection. Her vacant eyes met mine. Tears streamed down her face as she slowly mouthed, "I'm sorry." Chapter 14. Victoria submitted the video of Ethan's assault from the previous night to the Education Bureau. The Bureau had already received evidence regarding Ethan's molestation of students and female teachers, but the term molestation could be interpreted broadly, requiring careful verification. However, with this video evidence, combined with the fact that this happened within Victoria's first week at the school, the Education Bureau paid close attention. Through meticulous investigation, they uncovered that Ethan's relative, Director Thompson, had been protecting him all along. Director Thompson was removed from his post and Ethan was prosecuted. During the proceedings, Ethan's wife, Mrs. Hayes, testified alongside her child. She stated that she only married Ethan because he had raped her, forcing the marriage. After the child was born, Ethan regularly beat both her and the child. Medical reports documenting their injuries served as proof. Now Ethan was facing at least 3 to 5 years in prison. As for Victoria, after Ethan was imprisoned, she left me a letter and signed divorce papers. She said she planned to return to the remote teaching school. I already made the wrong choice once. This time, I don't want to be wrong again. Sincere, I will change. Wait for me. I sighed and signed my name on the divorce papers. I mailed them to Victoria via the post office. As for waiting for her, that was a matter for the future, best left for the future to decide. Chapter 15. 2 years later. I received a phone call from Victoria. Her voice was cautious, as if afraid I would hang up at any second. "Sincere, have you been doing well lately?" I replied, "Very well. I plan to stay here permanently." There was a pause on the other end before she asked, "Is it because of her, that girl?" I had moved past the events from before and could patiently explain, "It's because I like it here. The children here need me." Her voice choked with emotion. "Sincere, I know you haven't forgiven me. Back then I shouldn't have left you for someone like him. Sincere, I regret it. Let's get back together. These past 2 years I haven't been happy at all. I wanted to contact you so many times, but I was scared. Scared you'd say you don't love me anymore. Scared you wouldn't want to see me. It's been 2 years. Can we start over?" I refused. "Victoria, I don't love you anymore. That's the truth. But I don't resent you either. Time doesn't erase everything, but it allows people to forget, to become more accepting, to try and move on." She broke down crying on the other end like a pitiful abandoned soul. "Sincere, it turns out I was the one who couldn't leave you." Just as she finished speaking, Megan Davis rushed in holding a book. "Teacher Clark, your next class is about to start. The kids are waiting." I nodded, speaking into the phone to Victoria. "If there's nothing else, I need to hang up. I have a class to teach." Amidst Victoria's silence, I ended the call. Megan handed me a bag of lollipops. "Don't forget the candies you promised the kids last class." I thanked her, then walked into the classroom carrying my books. Seeing the lollipops in my hand, the students jumped up one by one, shouting, "Teacher Clark, we love you so much." I smiled and asked the class monitor to distribute the sweets. The students knew gratitude. I had found my value. So, there are things in this world more worthwhile than romantic love. I now had an answer to the question Megan had asked me before: to use my humble strength to help send these children out of the mountains. Before the wedding, my fiancé's first love was forced into a strategic marriage with a notorious heiress known for being a man-eater. Unable to bear seeing her beloved suffer, she crashed his wedding. That very day they got married under the watchful eyes of everyone. The entire city waited to laugh at me and the Windsor family. Unexpectedly, the next day, the sole heiress of the Windsor Corporation brazenly parked her Bugatti at my company entrance. Your fiancé snatched my marriage partner. I need you to pay her debt by marrying me instead. That seems reasonable, doesn't it? Looking at her flamboyant, curly hair, I smiled and adjusted my glasses. Yes, quite reasonable. Victoria Windsor raised an eyebrow, surprised by how readily I agreed to her marriage proposal. A small stud near the corner of her brow glinted with the movement. But for people like us, perhaps marriage is just another weight on the scales of benefit, regardless of who it's with. So, after a fleeting moment of surprise, she reverted to her usual devil-may-care demeanor. All right, I'll come find you tomorrow to discuss the wedding details. Got to go deal with those old geezers back home today. So annoying, she muttered, tousling her already messy curls. I found it amusing and gently tucked a stray lock back from her forehead. No rush. Just contact me whenever you're free. She seemed pleased with my understanding nature, exchanged a few more words, and then sped off. I headed home as usual, only to find a rather off-putting figure waiting in front of my villa. Miss Ashworth, what a pleasant surprise. Instead of strolling down the main avenues, you've wandered into my private estate. Scarlett Ashworth looked awkward and offered a forced laugh. Sincere, don't be so sarcastic. I had no choice about what happened that day. You know Liam's personality, he suffers in silence. If he really married that Windsor playgirl, who knows how many times he'd be cheated on. I just couldn't watch him walk into that disaster. My expression remained impassive. She couldn't bear to see Liam walk into a disaster, yet she was content to let me, her fiancé, become the laughingstock of our entire social circle. What kind of logic was that? I didn't want to waste words on her and moved to walk past her towards my house. Unexpectedly, she reached out to take my arm, but I swiftly dodged her. If you have something to say, say it. Don't get physical. Sincere, what do you mean by this? Are you trying to cut ties with me? Even though I married Liam, I never said we had to stop seeing each other. It's just a marriage certificate. It doesn't mean anything. We can still be together. I just can't give you the official title, so you'll have to compromise a bit. But I believe, given your feelings for me over so many years, you won't mind, right? Scarlett's eyes shone with anticipation. My brow furrowed tightly. I couldn't fathom how such a shameless idea could even enter this woman's head. To blatantly suggest I become her lover? My anger turned into laughter. Scarlett Ashworth, you overestimate your importance. There's no possibility of reconciliation between us. From now on, we go our separate ways. Let's not stand in each other's paths. I spoke seriously, but absurdly, she seemed to think I was just throwing a tantrum. She tugged at my sleeve playfully. All right, don't be so serious. I know you're angry because I married someone else. I promise you I'll handle the relationship between you two fairly in the future, without favoring either one. You and Liam are both the people I love most. Even though he's my legal husband, I won't let him overshadow you, okay? It was like talking to a brick wall. I truly couldn't understand why my parents had chosen her as my fiancée back then. However, my upbringing didn't permit me to lose my temper with someone like her. Checking my watch, I decided to seize this opportunity to make everything clear. Scarlett Ashworth, let me be blunt. I have no romantic feelings for you. We just happened to grow up together, and our parents happened to push us together. All these years I've merely fulfilled the obligations expected of a marriage alliance partner. I wouldn't say I like you. As for who you truly love or want to marry, that has nothing to do with me. So you don't need to come tell me these things, and I will not agree to your suggestion. Is that clear enough? If there's nothing else, please leave. I clearly saw the emotion shifting in Scarlett Ashworth's eyes as she heard my words, progressing from initial disbelief to outright fury. Her face flushed red. Sincere Clark, are you done yet? Do you have to deliberately lie like this just to spite me? I came to you personally. I apologized. What more do you want? Don't I have any pride? Even Liam could compromise and agree to this arrangement. What right do you have to refuse me being willing to let you be? My lover is already giving you too much credit. Go ask around the city which established family would care to associate with an upstart. Nouveau riche family like yours, only I wasn't bothered by it. You won't even take the olive branch I'm offering. You'll regret this with that. She stormed off to her car and drove away in a huff. Watching the exhaust fumes trail behind Scarlett's departing car, I had mixed feelings. To say there were no feelings wasn't entirely true. There was the bond of growing up together, after all. However, any lingering sentiment had long since eroded away during the numerous times she chose Liam over me, leaving me disregarded. Victoria didn't forget our agreement. Early the next morning, she arranged to meet me at an exclusive private restaurant. When I saw her again, I almost didn't recognize her. She had straightened her hair, removed the dramatic eyeliner and eyeshadow, and wore a simple white dress. I instinctively glanced at her eyebrow where the stud had been. As if sensing my question, she explained proactively. It was just glued on, for fun. What, you don't recognize me? I smiled. You do look quite different. Everything proceeded smoothly. We settled on the highest spec hotel and the grandest scale for the wedding banquet. As for the decorations and attire needed for the event, it was all left to Victoria's preferences, with me covering the costs. She tilted her head, looking at me while munching on a small pastry resembling a little hamster. All according to my taste? This is your wedding too, aren't you looking forward to it at all? I gave a non-committal response. Don't they say, listen to your wife and you'll get rich? I'm starting early, hoping the wealth lasts longer. Victoria chuckled at my remark. It was then I noticed how bright her eyes were, and the two small dimples that appeared on her cheeks when she smiled. She didn't seem like the wild party girl rumored in social circles at all. After finalizing all the arrangements, Victoria had family matters to attend to and left first. Once I tidied up, I prepared to head back to the office, only to run into Scarlett Ashworth and Liam Miller right outside the private dining room, apparently having just finished their meal. Both froze when they saw me. Scarlett was the first to react, sincere. What are you doing here? She looked at me, then at the empty private room behind me, a look of realization dawning on her face. Oh, you followed us here, didn't you? Otherwise, why would someone like you, who usually just grabs a quick bite, come to a place like this? I told you what you said the other day was a lie, but you insisted on being stubborn. What, does seeing me and Liam together make you uncomfortable? She wore a smug expression, and Liam beside her chimed in pretentiously. Forget it, Lin. Don't say any more. Sincere must already be upset about not being able to marry you. It's all my fault, really. As Liam spoke, the car keys hanging from his wrist swung back and forth, intentionally or not, right in front of my eyes. It was a limited edition supercar released this year. The Miller family's financial situation couldn't possibly afford it, so it must have been a gift from Scarlett. Even he himself had been repackaged, decked out head to toe in luxury brands. It seemed Scarlett had really spared no expense on him. I suddenly recalled that when I was with Scarlett, I hadn't received even a tie, let alone a sports car. Not only that, but I frequently had to transfer money to her for her expenses and entertainment. She often complained about being short on cash, and I felt that since we were together, it wasn't worth fussing over who contributed more. Looking back now, it seemed she had considered me a gullible fool long before. Liam knew I had noticed the keys in his hand. When he looked at me again, his eyes held blatant smugness and ostentation. Before I could speak, however, Scarlett jumped in protectively. Why are you apologizing to him? He's the one who can't let go of me now. He should be begging us. She crossed her arms, tilting her chin up at me with a look of utter confidence. Let me tell you, Sincere, if you've changed your mind and want to get back together, it's not impossible. But my terms aren't the same as yesterday. You said so many nasty things to me last night. It's only fair you compensate me for emotional distress. $1 million a month in pocket money for me and Liam each. That's not too much, right? Also, new clothes and bags from every season must be sent to me first for selection. You absolutely cannot disturb me when I'm with Liam, and the wedding ceremony will only be held with Liam. If you can't even manage these basic things, then forget about reconciliation. She rattled off a list of rules like emptying a bamboo tube of beans. All the jokes I'd heard in my 25 years combined weren't as absurd as what she was saying. Hilariously, she still seemed to think that being with me was a great favor she was bestowing upon me. My gaze swept over the two of them, and I spoke calmly. Does the Clark Corporation need to organize a charity fundraiser for you too? I recently met a renowned neurosurgeon from overseas. I could make an introduction. Scarlett stared blankly for a moment, then her face instantly flushed red as she understood. What do you mean by that? I shrugged. Nothing much. Literal meaning. I'm saying you two are nuts. Scarlett's frantic screams faded behind me. Without looking back, I drove straight back to the company. Emotions are precious. I dislike wasting energy on anyone or anything unworthy. My wedding with Victoria was set for the 10th of next month. Since we were both busy, we simply agreed that I would go pick her up directly on the wedding day. Looking at the checklist sent by the wedding planner on my screen, I felt a momentary sense of surrealness. Not long ago, due to my fiancé's elopement, I thought marriage was likely off the table for me in the near future. Yet, in the blink of an eye, I was actually getting married. My mother, Eleanor, worried that I was emotionally scarred and had hastily found someone just to go through the motions. She called to earnestly try and persuade me otherwise. I stubbed out my cigarette. For some reason, the bright image of Victoria blocking my way at the company entrance flashed through my mind, and the small dimples at the corners of her lips when she smiled. Don't worry, Mom. Victoria is great. Besides, marriage, isn't it the same with anyone? You can't just look at superficial emotions. You have to consider the underlying benefits. That's what you and Dad taught me. My mother was speechless at my words, sighed deeply, and hung up. I looked up at the sparsely scattered stars in the sky, wondering when exactly I'd become this way. As if my world only consisted of the words benefit and meaning. Cold and orderly, rational yet hypocritical, like a high-precision instrument programmed for everything. Over the next few days, I was swamped with work at the office. When I finally looked up from a pile of documents, my secretary knocked cautiously on the door. Mr. Clark, there's a lady here to see you. She says she's delivering. Before she could finish, a loud voice preempted her, reaching my ears urgently sincere. I'm here to give you an invitation. Looking up, sure enough, it was Scarlett Ashworth again. She smugly pulled out a gold-embossed invitation and placed it on my desk, her tone arrogant. Liam and I are holding our wedding. You're welcome to attend. Time is running out for you. After our wedding, my whole heart will be devoted to him. If you come begging for my forgiveness then, it'll be too late. I couldn't believe that she, the one who broke off our engagement and attempted a three-way relationship, now expected me to beg her forgiveness. I chuckled, opened the invitation, raised an eyebrow at the printed date, May 10th, and casually tossed it into the nearby trash bin. Well, thank you for thinking so highly of me, but I'm not fortunate enough to deserve such a fine marriage. You should save it for Mr. Miller. Seeing her meticulously prepared invitation ruthlessly discarded, Scarlett's face flushed red and white with anger. She pointed at me, her fingertip trembling. You utterly shameless. You've wasted this final chance. She was incoherent. But I was busy dealing with work matters and the guest list Victoria had sent me, and truly had no time for her anymore. I rubbed my temples, my voice weary. Scarlett Ashworth, I've told you many times I have no lingering feelings for you. If you acted normally, our families could maintain their business relationship. But if you continue to approach me with these ridiculous ideas, then I can only say that the cooperation between our families ends here. Scarlett was a flower sheltered in a greenhouse since childhood, completely clueless and uninterested in industry developments. Her information was so outdated she likely still thought my family was just some unsophisticated nouveau riche clan. She failed to consider that several generations had passed. Hearing my words, Scarlett looked even more humiliated and felt compelled to regain some ground. "You think I'm afraid of you? Fine. Terminated. The Ashworth family is large and established. Do you think we need your poultry business? If you have the guts, cut off our entire funding chain." Seeing her determined expression, I nodded, my fingers tapping away as I sent an email through the company's internal network. "All right." "As you wish." Scarlett was eventually summoned away by a phone call from her family. I don't know what was said, but she left in a hurry, shooting me a venomous glare before departing. "Sincere Clark. Just you wait. Who would wait for her? Fortunately, she and Liam didn't cause any more trouble for a long time afterward. Peacefully, the wedding day finally arrived. To avoid traffic jams, I had arranged for the motorcade early on. But the world is often small. On the way to pick up the bride, I actually encountered Scarlett and Liam. Her eyes lit up when she saw me, but then, seeing me dressed as a groom followed by a long convoy of cars, her face instantly darkened. "Sincere Clark. What is the meaning of this? Are you trying to usurp Liam's position? I told you we can continue seeing each other, but the wedding ceremony is only for Liam. What's with your outfit? Are you deliberately trying to upset Liam?" I glanced over without saying anything. It was my driver who cheerfully handed over 2 wedding favors. "Today is also our young master's wedding day. Please share in the joy." Scarlett was stunned. Him? Getting married? Then she scoffed. "How is that possible? Who else would he possibly want to marry besides me? I bet he just wants to crash my wedding but is too embarrassed to say it." The driver fell silent, likely understanding why I chose to remain quiet throughout. At this moment, Scarlett hefted the gifts in her hands, feeling their significant weight. She immediately tore one open, pulling out a solid gold bar and a Patek Philippe watch. Her eyes turned green with envy. "You're giving things like this away as wedding favors?" Her shock and envy seemed genuine. Liam, standing beside her, looked uncomfortable and quickly put his arm around her shoulder. "It's all right, Lin. When I make big money, we'll have this kind of extravagance too. Even more generous than him." Scarlett forced a smile at his words and carefully put the items back in the bag. "Okay, I'll wait for the day you make big money." Just then, the driver nodded to me. "Young master, Miss Windsor is almost ready." I gestured for him to proceed, but unexpectedly, Scarlett's motorcade started following ours. It seemed she was convinced this was all just a charade orchestrated by me. If that's the case, let them follow. As our cars majestically rolled into the Windsor estate, I clearly sensed some hesitation in Scarlett's following motorcade. I paid them no mind, merely adjusting my attire one last time before stepping out of the car. A red carpet dozens of meters long stretched from my feet up to the steps. As I walked forward, I could hear Scarlett and Liam whispering behind me. "Isn't this the Windsor place? Is he marrying Victoria Windsor? No way. Impossible. Why would the Windsors approve of him? Besides, Victoria's reputation is terrible. He would never marry her, but the moment the main doors opened, everyone fell silent. Victoria, wearing a handcrafted white bridal gown, walked towards me, several attendants helping with her train. She was stunningly beautiful. She smiled at me, and I naturally extended my arm for her to take. The movement was smooth and effortless, startling Scarlett, who rushed towards me frantically. You're really getting married? To Victoria Windsor?" I feigned ignorance. "Isn't it obvious? I've let you see what you wanted to know, Miss Ashworth. Can you please step aside now? We need to get to the venue." Perhaps Scarlett had truly never imagined that I, her previously devoted boyfriend, would one day leave her completely. Her eyes reddened, and right there in front of Victoria she tried to grab my hand, only for me to dodge again. "Could you please stop trying to grab people?" Even Liam looked uncomfortable. He stepped forward to pull her back, but Scarlett violently shrugged him off. "Stay out of this, Sincere. How could you marry someone else? I'm the one who grew up with you, the one with 20 years of history. I'm the one who was engaged to you." So she did remember those things. Given how readily she got married to Liam, I thought she had forgotten all about it. I frowned, worried her erratic behavior might harm Victoria, and instinctively shielded her behind me. Unexpectedly, this action wounded Scarlett further. I know you're angry, you want revenge. But you can't just marry anyone. You know Victoria's reputation. She changes men more often than clothes. Marrying her will ruin you. Watch your mouth." I finally lost my patience, glancing worriedly at Victoria's expression. "Victoria's wonderful in every way. What happens between us is none of your business. I've said it many times, and this is the last time. There is nothing between us anymore. Stop bothering me and my wife." As the word wife left my lips, Scarlett visibly swayed. Her eyes were red, and she looked like she wanted to say more, but I had already helped Victoria into the car, disappearing completely from her sight. Scarlett's conspicuous wedding car followed us all the way to the wedding venue. Through the car window, I saw her distorted face and felt a surge of annoyance. Victoria, however, was calm. She squeezed my hand. "What, feeling sorry for her?" "Sorry?" I scoffed. "I'm worried she'll cause a scene and delay the ceremony." Victoria raised an eyebrow and suddenly leaned close to my ear. "Then don't try to stop me later." Before I could process her meaning, the car door opened, and Scarlett rushed over. She reached out to grab my arm, but Victoria slapped her hand away. "Excuse me, miss," Victoria beamed, but her voice was ice cold. "Touching another woman's husband comes with consequences." The word husband made Scarlett's face turn pale. "Who do you think you are, Sincere, and I have 20 years of history. Who are you to interfere?" I was about to speak, but Victoria stepped in front of me. 20 years and it didn't work out. Seems like fate has good judgment. You Scarlett raised her hand to strike, but Victoria caught her wrist. Slap, a resounding slap silenced the entire crowd. Scarlett clutched her face, eyes wide with disbelief. "How dare you? Why wouldn't I dare?" Victoria flicked her hand. "This slap is to teach you some basic decency. A married woman still harassing her ex-fiancé? Your Ashworth family's upbringing is truly something to behold." I watched Victoria's swift, clean actions with great interest from the side. Previously, I only thought she had contrasting sides. Now, I found it excellent. That bold, passionate streak in her core was something I had always admired but could never attain. As I was lost in the pleasant surprise Victoria provided, Scarlett suddenly turned to me, tears appearing instantly. "Sincere, are you just going to stand there and watch her hit me?" I nodded, the partiality evident in my tone. "Yes. My wife just happens to have such a lively and cheerful personality, enjoys a bit of roughhousing. Isn't she adorable?" I turned back to Victoria. "Did you hurt your hand?" Victoria feigned injury, holding out her hand. "A little." I bent down and kissed her slightly red palm. "Let me handle rough work like this next time." Scarlett looked like she had swallowed a fly. You two," she suddenly screamed hysterically. "Sincere, Clark, you will regret this." Liam finally couldn't watch anymore, and hesitantly came over to pull her away. Lin, we should get to the hotel." "Go where?" Scarlett shoved him off. "Look at the extravagance of their wedding. Now look at your pathetic setup out of everything. Arranging the wedding cars was the only thing I asked you to handle, and you messed it up like this." Liam's face turned shades of red and white. Only then did I notice that the few wedding cars behind them were standard brands, indeed looking shabby compared to our fleet. Victoria suddenly exclaimed, "Ah, it's your wedding day too. What a coincidence." She waved over the accompanying steward. "Go to the cellar and get 2 bottles of champagne for them. Consider it my wedding gift." This remark was like rubbing salt into Scarlett's wound. She trembled with rage, grabbing Liam to leave. "Let's go let this despicable pair enjoy themselves." Watching their retreating figures fleeing in disarray, I let out a long breath. Victoria poked my cheek. "Feel better?" I caught her hand and kissed it. "Much better." The master of ceremonies came over to remind us it was time to enter. Victoria linked her arm through mine and whispered suddenly, "Actually, I'm a little nervous." I was taken aback for a second. This woman who had boldly cornered me at my company entrance now had sweaty palms. Nervous about what? I teased her deliberately. "Afraid I'll run off." She glared at me. "Afraid you'll think I'm fierce, and afraid you'll think I lack manners." I burst out laughing and, under the gaze of everyone, kissed her. "Why follow so many rules? You're wonderful, very cute." The wedding proceeded smoothly. During the ring exchange, I noticed a few figures peering curiously from the entrance guests invited by Scarlett's side. It seemed they had all come over to watch the spectacle. Victoria saw them too and winked at me. "Looks like someone's wedding reception is going to be empty." I shrugged indifferently. "What's it got to do with me?" During the evening banquet, my secretary quietly informed me that fewer than 10 tables were occupied at Scarlett's reception, mostly Liam's relatives. The celebrities and bands she had hired at great expense had all come over to perform at our wedding, saying they didn't want to miss the city's grandest wedding of the year. Hearing this, Victoria laughed so hard she collapsed into my arms. Serves her right for stealing my marriage partner. I gently pinched her cheek. "Shouldn't you be thanking her now? If she hadn't self-destructed, how would I have ended up with such a beautiful wife?" Victoria suddenly grew quiet, her eyes sparkling as she looked at me. "Sincere, did you really want to marry me?" The question made my heart tremble. I carefully considered my feelings and finally reached a definite conclusion. Yes, I wanted to marry her. I admit initially I had no expectations for marriage, believing life would be the same regardless of who I spent it with. Even agreeing to Victoria's proposal at first was merely because I felt the alliance between our families was more advantageous than detrimental. But every meeting and conversation revealed that she was different. She was flamboyant and unrestrained, exuding a deep-seated dissatisfaction with convention. I lowered my head and kissed her, murmuring between our lips, "I wanted to marry you, sincerely." Spending these few days together, I realized Victoria was nothing like the person described by outsiders. Everyone in our circle said she was uneducated, empty-headed, just a spendthrift heiress. But she had a sharp perspective on issues, even analyzing economic trends cogently. She was definitely not just an empty facade. At the dining table, Victoria noticed my gaze and realized she might have said too much. She leaned back nonchalantly. "You want to ask why my reputation in the circle is so terrible when I'm clearly not that bad, right?" After a moment's thought, I nodded. "I was a bit curious, yes, but you spread those rumors yourself, didn't you? What I'm curious about is why." "Oh, you're quite sharp, not like those idiots I've met before." Victoria threw up her hands. "You know, the Windsor fortune isn't small. It's hard for me to tell who's genuine and who's fake. So you made yourself seem incompetent to secretly observe who was stabbing you in the back?" Victoria responded with an, "Uh-huh," acknowledging my deduction. "Then what about the rumors that you changed men like clothes?" Victoria sputtered out the coffee she was drinking, waving her hands dismissively. "I certainly didn't spread that one. It's just that most of my information network operates in places like nightclubs and high-end KTVs. Occasionally, a few people would run into me there, and the rumors naturally spread. I couldn't be bothered to explain, and it actually helped solidify my persona, so I let them talk. For some reason, I felt a pang of sympathy for her. Victoria was 2 years younger than me, yet these rumors had persisted for years. It meant she had faced this intense scrutiny and turmoil alone from a much younger age. I couldn't imagine how much slander she had endured, how many hardships she had suffered to get to where she was today. After dropping Victoria off at her company after breakfast, I headed to my own office. Just after finishing a meeting, I stepped out of the conference room to see Scarlett Ashworth standing at the end of the hallway. Her eyes were red and swollen, her makeup smudged, and she looked so haggard she was almost unrecognizable. Upon seeing me, she immediately stumbled towards me. Sincere, I sidestepped her lunge, frowning. "Is there something you need? I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong." Her voice trembled, tears streaming down her face. "Can you please spare the Ashworth family?" My father was so angry he ended up in the hospital. The company is in chaos. All our partners have pulled their investments. I adjusted my cuffs, my tone calm. Business is like a battlefield. Isn't this normal? But this is all because of that email you sent. She suddenly became agitated, gripping my sleeve tightly. Sincere, we've known each other for 20 years. Can you be so heartless? I pried her fingers off one by one. Scarlett Ashworth, who was it that said, if you have the guts, cut off our entire funding chain? I also recall saying that from now on we go our separate ways. Her face turned deathly pale, her lips trembling, unable to speak. Finally, with a thud, she knelt before me. I'm begging you. I was ignorant before. I promise I'll treat you well from now on. Do you remember? When I had a fever as a child, you carried me to the hospital. You said you'd always protect me. My steps faltered. Thinking she had a chance, she quickly crawled over and hugged my legs. Yes, you remember, don't you? We have so many memories. How can you just throw them away? I looked down at her pathetic state and suddenly found it laughable. I slowly crouched down to meet her gaze. Scarlett Ashworth, do you remember your birthday last year? I also had a fever, 39 degrees Celsius, 102 Fahrenheit. I didn't want to disappoint you, so I stayed up all night preparing a surprise. But then you canceled our plans with a single sentence. Later, I found out you went to be with Liam. There are many, many incidents like this. Do you need me to recount them one by one? The color drained from her face, bit by bit. I stood up, brushing off non-existent dust from my trousers. I think it's time you understood. Many things I simply chose not to argue with you about. But that doesn't mean I didn't know. Don't talk to me about memories now. You don't deserve to. As the elevator doors opened, I heard her heart-wrenching scream behind me. Sincere Clark, you'll get what's coming to you. I smiled and stepped into the elevator. Retribution? My life couldn't be better right now. When I got home that evening, Victoria was curled up on the sofa eating ice cream. Seeing me return, she ran over barefoot and hugged me tightly. Heard there was some drama at the office today? I gently pinched her nose. How are you so well informed? Of course, she waved her phone proudly. The whole company is talking about how CEO Clark's ex-fiancée knelt and begged for reconciliation, only to be ruthlessly rejected. I carried her to the sofa. Jealous? She rolled her eyes, popping a spoonful of ice cream into my mouth. Am I that type of person? The ice cream was cloyingly sweet. I leaned down and kissed the corner of her mouth, still dotted with cream. It's okay if you are. You're lovable no matter what. With my side of things settled, it was time for the Windsor family situation to conclude. Because of our marriage, many lurking figures started to get restless, wanting to strike before Victoria could fully consolidate her position. In the office, Victoria tossed a stack of documents in front of me, tapping the audit report on top. Third Uncle Walter embezzled $20 million from the subsidiary last month. He really thinks he can treat me like a figurehead. I opened the file. It detailed the flow of funds, even including photos of Walter Windsor with his mistress at a hotel. I closed the file. What's the plan? Victoria stood up, her black suit dress outlining sharp, imposing lines. Tomorrow's board meeting. I want them to cough up every cent they swallowed. The next day, in the top-floor conference room of Windsor Corporation, Walter Windsor was slamming the table and shouting, "Victoria Windsor, on what grounds did you freeze my authority? I'm your elder." Victoria sat at the head of the table, calmly twirling a pen. "Uncle Walter, on March 16, 2019, how much did you lose at the casinos in Macau?" The conference room instantly fell deathly silent. Need I remind you? Victoria pressed a button on the remote, and bank statements appeared on the projection screen. $23 million, taken from the Windsor Education Fund. The other board members gasped and murmured amongst themselves. Only second Uncle Stanley Windsor suddenly interjected, "Victoria, dear, what are you doing? Don't air our dirty laundry in public." Victoria shot him a look, her smile not reaching her eyes. Uncle Stanley, your own house is on fire and you still have time to worry about others? Do you want me to publicly reveal how you transferred that piece of land in the South District to your mistress at a low price last year? I timely handed over another file, which Victoria casually tossed onto the conference table. Here are the details of the company funds borrowed by all of you over the years. I'll give you two choices. She held up one finger. 1. Repay the principal plus interest within 3 days. A second finger joined the first. 2. I'll have Captain Davies from the Economic Crime Investigation Unit invite you all for tea. Walter's face turned livid. You're trying to drive us to our deaths. Victoria suddenly laughed, a smile that sent chills down the spine. Uncle Walter, your grandson's expenses studying in the UK aren't cheap, are they? What if the evidence of his mother embezzling public funds were sent to his school? Walter Windsor leaped to his feet, nearly knocking over his chair. You dare threaten me, His words trailed off. Victoria didn't interrupt, just watched him quietly, smiling. Previously, those present were unsure of Victoria's temperament and capabilities, treating her like an easily manipulated novice. But now, faced with concrete evidence laid bare, no one dared gamble on where her limits lay. Ultimately, it was Walter Windsor who backed down first. I'll pay it back. I'll pay it back tomorrow. Less than 10 minutes later, only the two of us remained in the conference room. Victoria loosened her collar, revealing a hint of exhaustion. I walked up behind her and gently massaged her temples. Well done. She leaned against me, her voice muffled. Sincere, was I too harsh? Business is war. I kissed the top of her head. Mercy to the enemy is cruelty to yourself. Victoria suddenly turned and wrapped her arms around my waist. Thank goodness you were here to back me up. 3 days later, every single dollar was returned to the company accounts. At the board meeting, Victoria announced the establishment of a supervisory committee, with me personally in charge. She scanned the room, her gaze sharp as a knife. From now on, if anyone dares to reach out their hand, I'll chop off their claws that night, after the celebration dinner. Victoria was slightly tipsy, murmuring against my chest, "Husband, am I amazing?" I picked her up and carried her towards the bedroom. Chairwoman Windsor is truly awe-inspiring. She nuzzled against my neck and whispered suddenly, "Actually, I'm so tired. My dad passed away so many years ago. It's been a long time since I've acted cute with anyone, let alone felt this secure resting in someone's arms. They all scheme against me, just waiting for a chance to ruin my reputation, find fault, and kick me out of the Windsor family so they can swallow everything my dad left me. At my most anxious, I didn't even dare accept a banana from my own house staff. I was afraid they'd poison me. I had to make myself seem more useless, more incapable, so they would lower their guard, thinking I wasn't a threat. My heart softened. I placed her gently on the bed and wiped away the tears glistening at the corners of her eyes. You've worked so hard all these years. From now on, I'll be by your side. I can't promise to shield you from everything, but I will definitely be your most solid support. Whatever you want to do, I'll face it with you." Victoria smiled hazily, suddenly tugging my tie to pull me closer, slowly removing my glasses. "You'll do anything with me? Then I want to have a baby with you. One as smart as both of us." I chuckled softly and kissed her lips, swallowing her murmurs. Outside the window, the stars shone brightly, but the warmth in my arms was more captivating than any power or status. I think it's time I retracted my earlier statement. How could life possibly be the same, no matter who you spend it with?